I'm not going to be on here long, but I just need to talk to you guys about some stuff. There's been some stuff going on that we all need to talk about. So, you guys can definitely see the title of this video, or whatever you want to call it, that, you know, live stream. I haven't live streamed in a while, so here we are. But in today's live stream, we're talking about why the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should fire Mike Smith. There's a lot of reasons. See, Steven, fire Mike Smith and all this. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of reason to fire Mike Smith, and I want to talk about it today. I wrote down all the statistics that I care to share with you guys. So, again, I'm going to be sharing all this with you, and I'm going to be sharing the starters that were there in place every single year with this team and whatnot, and talk about what's been going wrong. So, let's get started with 2016, okay? I'm going to be taking this through yards per game, points per game, third down completion percentage, penalties, sacks, enforced punts, and takeaways. So that's all the statistical categories, okay? He just hasn't got fired because of Dirk. Completely agree, Steven. But taking a look at the statistics here, okay? This is 2016. This is the year that Mike Smith first came in, and his motto was the bend but don't break defense. Okay, let's see how that actually came into effect. And by the way, my rankings for average and average defense is 15th all the way down to 19th, which I think is pretty generous, all things considered. But let's take a look first at his rushing yards per game. That ranked 22nd. So again, below average, wasn't very good, but hey, whatever, you know, it's almost average, I guess you should say. It's almost average. So whatever, that is what it is. The Buccaneers weren't very good at stopping the run in 2016. Taking a look at passing yards per game, the Buccaneers ranked 22nd in that year as well. Again, not very good at stopping the pass either, but almost average, I guess, if you want to call it that. It is what it is. Points per game, they actually were average. They were 15th. They were almost above average, so that's fine. That's actually pretty good. And in total yards per game, they were 23rd, below average. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. In third down completion percentage, they were actually first in the league in 2016. They were the best. That's good. That's actually, you know, that's way above average. That's as good as you can get. So, in penalties, they were ranked 28th. Okay, that's not good. That's actually a good lack of discipline. But okay. In sacks, they were 10th, above average. That's good. And in forced punts, they were 21st, below average. Okay, that was 2016, and in takeaways, they were 3rd. Okay, that's pretty good. That was the year they went 9-7. That was a pretty decent year, all things considered, I guess. There were some things you could have improved on, but hey, hopefully things got better in 2017. Oh, wait, they didn't. Going into 2017, the Buccaneers' rushing yards per game ranked 23rd. It went down from a year. That's not good. That's still below average. In passing yards per game, it was 32nd. That's worse than the league. That's obviously not very good. In points per game, it was 24th. Regression in that field as well. In total yards per game, 32nd, more regression, you know, worst in the league yet again. In third down completion percentage, they were the worst in the league. They had the worst third down completion percentage, so their opponents were converting the most third downs more than anybody else in the league. That's not good. In penalties, they were 21st. Okay, a little bit better. In sacks, they were 32nd, worst in the league. Okay, it is what it is. And in forced punts, they were 32nd. Again, worst in the league. And in takeaways, they dropped down to 8th. So just regression everywhere, right? Except for penalties, it looks like. Yeah, regression everywhere, except for penalties. Okay. The Buccaneers went 5-11 that year. They couldn't stop anything, it looks like. And it just wasn't good at all. Going into 2018, so this is current, you know, this is the 4 games so far. The Buccaneers have the 6th best rushing defense. Good. Okay, we have the 6th best rushing defense. That's pretty good, right? We should be doing pretty good in all the other categories, right? Oh no, you're wrong. In passing yards per game, the Buccaneers rank 32nd, worst in the league. In points per game, the Buccaneers rank 32nd, worst in the league. In total yards per game, the Buccaneers rank 31st, second worst in the league, only above the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, that's not good. In third down completion percentage, 14th in the league. Okay, at least that's average. In penalties, 25th, below average. In sacks, 26th, below average. In forced punts, 26th, below average. This guy has only had, takeaways, 17th. average. So this guy has only had 6 statistical categories in 36 games that have been at least average or above. 6 out of the 20, what is it, 8, 16, 24, 20, out of the 27, 6 out of the 27 are average or above in 2 1/4 years. That's awful. That's terrible. Mike Smith has never been good at stopping the run except for so far this year, but we don't know how that's gonna end. He's never been good at stopping the pass. He's only been average 1 year at stopping the opposing teams from scoring points and getting total yards. He's still barely he's only had 1 year where he's been barely almost average. He's only had one. He's only just, oh my god, he's so bad. He's only had 1 year where the team could get a lot of sacks. Just awful. And, you know, he's okay in takeaways. Okay, that's fine. He's okay in takeaways, but apparently they don't, you know, apparently takeaways don't mean anything if all these other statistical categories are just awful. It's just terrible. And speaking of the 36 games that Mike Smith's had so far, let's take a look at, you know, some other numbers. And Greg Auman, you know, Greg Auman was the first one to mention these numbers, and I kind of expanded upon it. So this is what Greg Auman first gave the numbers of, okay? So in the 36 games Mike Smith has been here, the Buccaneers have given up 400-plus yards, so the opposing team has had 400 yards or more in a game, 19 times. 19 times. That's 53% of the time. That's more than half the time. Okay, that's pretty bad, right? That's pretty bad. That's pretty awful. So I decided to look a little bit deeper into that, and I was like, well, how about 300-plus yards? Because you can still lose a lot of games with 300-plus yards. 28 out of 36 games. That's 78% of the time. 78% out of 36 games, the Buccaneers have given up 300-plus yards in the Mike Smith era. In the Mike Smith era, 36 games. Okay. 30-plus points, the Buccaneers have given it up in 13 games, 36% of the time, or a third, basically, if you want to call it that. And then I decided to expand on that a little bit more. I was like, well, how about 24-plus points? Because, again, you can still lose a lot of games giving up 24-plus points. 20 games out of 36, otherwise known as 56%, otherwise known as more than half the time. That's not good at all. So really, and I know I'm a very big stats guy, and some people like that, some people don't. That's fine. It doesn't matter. You know, okay. You know, I like statistics because statistics are the best way to figure out what the heck's going on. Statistically speaking, Mike Smith has never been able to stop anything. Ever. Ever. He might have been able to stop the run at one point, and maybe he was average at stopping the opposing teams from scoring or getting third downs. You know, he's been okay at stopping teams from getting third downs, but in everything else, he's just been awful. He's been below average. This Buccaneers defense has, at least in terms of an overall defense, they haven't been above average since Mike Smith has got here, or even average at best. So what the heck's going on here? They've never been able to stop the pass, first off, you know, below average or worse in the league all around the board. So, dude, I just don't think Mike Smith's defense is working. I think the Buccaneers should get rid of Mike Smith. And I know, Garvey, you said, well, who should the Buccaneers replace him with? Honestly, I don't know. I know the Buccaneers linebacker coach, I believe his name's Duffner. He's obviously the more likelier candidate, and I know Dirk Cutter just recently came out and said, oh, the Buccaneers aren't going to we're not going to get rid of Mike Smith. Everybody should be fired, including me. Okay, listen, I understand that that's a very political answer, and that's a very, everybody did bad. What do you mean? Mike Smith's always done bad. I'm going to show you guys the starters for the 2016, 2017, 2018 season here, okay? This is for 2016. If you look here, the starting defensive lineman goes as follows. Robert Ayers at the right end position, Clinton McDonald at the second defensive tackle position, Gerald McCoy at the first defensive tackle position, William Golson at left end, Daryl Smith left outside linebacker, Quan Alexander middle linebacker, Levante David, Vernon Hargraves, Brent Grimes, Chris Conti, Bradley McDougall. That was Mike Smith's first year, so you can kind of maybe make a reasonable claim of, okay, well, maybe they just didn't know the defense that well. Maybe, you know, they're brand new to the scheme. Maybe it took them some time. Okay, and keep in mind, I think we can all agree that Bradley McDougall, Levante David, Quan Alexander, Brent Grimes, Gerald McCoy, those guys are all pretty good players. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's almost half of your defense that you're confident in, okay, in terms of individual players and how you think they can do individually on the team, okay? Just keep that one in mind. Going into 2017, and look, things still generally stayed the same. Justin Evans came in. That was brand new. Ryan Smith was there, considering Vernon Hargreaves got hurt. But, you know, it is what it is. Chris Baker replaced Clinton McDonald. Robert Ayers, Will Golston stayed the same. Quan Alexander, Levante David stayed the same. Kendall Beckwith came in, replacing Daryl Smith. And Brent Grimes stayed the same. So, again, that's, you know, a lot of people were confident in McCoy and Quan, Beckwith, Levante, Brent Grimes, Justin Evans. That's more than half at that point. That's 6 out of 11. Okay, that's even more confidence in the players and how they can do individually on this team. And then going into 2018, let's take a look at this as well. Okay, you have Carlton Davis, who a lot of people have liked. And keep in mind, these are the guys who have started the most games for the Buccaneers so far up to this point. They've started the most games. So Vinny Curry, Will Golston, a defensive tackle, considering Bo Allen and Vita Vea, they've been hurt. Jason Pierre-Paul, Gerald McCoy, Darius Taylor, Quan Alexander, Levante David, Brent Grimes, Justin Evans, Carlton Davis. Again, a lot of these players are players that the Buccaneers fan base have been confident in, you know, as individual players. So if you don't blame Mike Smith, then you're blaming the players. You're going to be blaming guys like Justin Evans, Brent Grimes, Quan Alexander, Levante David, Gerald McCoy, Jason Pierre-Paul, Vinny Curry. That's who you guys are, you know, that's who people are blaming who want to defend Mike Smith. And I can't do that. I think that the Buccaneers have good players on this defense. I think that they have good individual players on this defense. Quan Alexander's been to the Pro Bowl. Levante David's been to the Pro Bowl. Gerald McCoy, Jason Pierre-Paul, Brent Grimes. They've all been to the Pro Bowl. You know, and I know the Pro Bowl is a dumb thing, but still, it means something. That means that, you know, that means that they're respected around the league and people understand and, you know, they know that these players are pretty good individually. It just all falls under Mike Smith's scheme. It doesn't work. It hasn't worked ever since he got here. It's been below average at absolute best, and at worst, it's the worst in the league. So, what do we do? You know, what should the Bucs do? I think the Bucs should fire Mike Smith. Who do you replace Mike Smith with? I think, you know, the more likelier option is, you know, the linebacker coach. I believe his name's Duffner. I honestly don't have any idea. But I think he would be the more likelier option, if I'm being honest. The linebackers coach, and I know a lot of people would want Brenson Buckner, but as it stands right now, I don't know if that would work. Regardless of what happens, whoever you replace Mike Smith with, they're still going to be running a Mike Smith-esque scheme, because you can't obviously switch an entire defensive scheme in a week. That kind of thing takes months. So it'd still be a Mike Smith-esque defense. It would still just have some tweaks here and there, you know, maybe a different thing here, a different thing there. But, you know, I think something should happen, because right now, as it stands, the Buccaneers have the talent. They have had the talent before in the past, and Mike Smith just doesn't know what to do with that talent. So it just hasn't been good. It just hasn't been good, okay? I'm just trying to read the comments here. Mike Smith's always been trash. I completely agree with that. Pete Carroll or Mike Tomlin both about to get fired after the season? Oh, possibly. Mid-season switch to 3-4. I don't think that's going to happen. And that's another thing. People have said that Mike Smith, the players have come out and said, you know, there's been reports and rumblings that Mike Smith's defense is too complicated because he tries and does weird things and whatnot. He doesn't simplify his defense, and it just gets dumb. It's so annoying. Oh my God, I can complain about this until the end of time. Always rushes forward, doesn't get to the quarterback when we get lit up. Same method ever since he's been here. We have linebackers. Has no downside and only upside. I agree with that. Mike Smith started Chris Conte. Yeah, Chris Conte's been our starter for 3 years. That's nuts. Vonta, I'm just trying to read everything. 3-4 isn't an overnight switch. I completely agree with that. Vita did fine, but I did want Derwin. Yeah, first football I've seen in almost a year. Oh, now we're talking about this. Fire Mike Smith signs outside $1 to get this man out of here. Yeah, honestly, guys, he should be fired, but I don't know if he's going to be fired because Dirk Cutter came out and was like, oh, he's not going to be fired. But it's not his decision, honestly. Like, Dirk Cutter's doing fine, but he's been saying some weird stuff in some press conferences lately that's been weirding me out, and I'll talk about that in another live stream. But it's not his decision. It's the Glazers' decision. I really hope the Glazers make a call here and just overrule Dirk Cutter because something needs to happen. Just oh my gosh, we got Pro Bowl players. We do have Pro Bowl players, absolutely. Should be blitzing linebackers, not dropping them into coverage. I say hire Rob Marinelli. I miss Monty Kiffin at this point, man. Kind of off topic. One is Hargraves coming back. Hargraves is on the injured reserve. He's not playing the rest of this year. Yeah, Dirk said Jameis is going to be here a lot longer than he is. You know, it's sorry if we've already addressed this, but I feel like I always hear the opponents say that they already knew it. Yeah, that's the thing. Mike Smith, you know, other offensive guys, you know, other coaches come out and say, oh yeah, we kind of knew what was going to happen. Remember that one game that Mike Smith was like, oh, we ran 19 different coverages on Julio Jones and nothing worked. It's like, dude, maybe you're not good at scheming around and stuff. Oh my God, it's awful, isn't it? It's just been so bad, right? It's just been awful. Mike Smith shouldn't continue to run this defense. He can't do it. He just can't do it, man. It's awful. Brent Grimes is old now. Shouldn't be here. What I think the Bucs should do is I think they should get rid of Mike Smith, and I think they need to make a big change. You know, they need to make it's either they need to get rid of Mike Smith and replace him with somebody else, or they need to make a another big personnel move. They need to trade for some type of secondary piece, be it a safety or a corner, because Chris Conte ain't coming back. He's on the injured reserve right now. Vernon Hargraves is on the injured reserve right now. I like Carlton Davis. I like MJ Stewart. But right now, it just definitely seems like that's not enough. I think if you want to if Mike Smith stays, they have to do something with this personnel, because you just keep on, oh my God, it's just awful. Mike Smith doesn't know what to do with the players he has. It's just so awful. Brent Grimes coming off an injury, give him one more game and see how it is. Oh no, I completely trust Brent Grimes. I don't think Brent Grimes is the problem. Maybe get a second cornerback. I love Carlton Davis. I do. I think he's doing a very good job. But I just don't think Mike Smith knows what to do with these secondary pieces. You know, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. He doesn't know what to do with these secondary pieces, and he's just blowing it, man. He's just blowing it. Like I said, just, hey, Matt, how are you? He's, what, 4-3 guy out there? I don't know what he's doing out there, man. Coaching 101, you build your scheme around what your players do well, not just force them to fit your mold. It seems like Mike Smith's not doing that because it's just not good. It's just not good. Like I said, guys, just this statistic alone, okay, in the 36 games that Mike Smith's had, 400 plus yards, the opponents have had 19 times, more than half, 300 plus yards, 78% of the time, 30 plus points, 36% of the time, 24 plus points, 56% of the time. You can't win games like that. You can't. You just can't. Last game they were out of position. That's Mike's fault. You know, and some people, I think Dirk Cutter was the one who said, well, you know, Mike Smith wasn't the one out there missing tackles and missing assignments. Mike Smith's supposed to be the guy who teaches these guys to not miss tackles and not miss assignments. He's not doing his job, and he hasn't done his job since 2016, since he got here. You know, Dirk Cutter can say what he wants, and that's fine. That's his call. You know, for the people who say, oh, what's the player's fault? It's not Mike Smith's fault. The players aren't executing. Mike Smith has had multiple years with the same, basically, generally the same set of guys for the most part to get them to execute this scheme well enough, and they just haven't continued to do it. And these are players that have had individual accolades since Mike Smith has gotten here. So this is looking like it's Mike Smith's fault. He's not teaching these guys to execute his scheme very well, or is he? It's just not good. It's just not good. I like all of our defensive rookies as well. I think they're doing a pretty good job, all things considered. But I just don't think that Mike Smith knows what to do with these players because it's just not going well. He doesn't teach these guys how to execute his scheme, and they look lost out there. and they just look like they don't know what they're doing, and that's Mike Smith's fault. He doesn't prepare them. He's never prepared them. It's a very undisciplined defense. They've been in the lower half of the league in penalties these past 36 games. In 2016 they were ranked 28th. In 2017 they were ranked 21st, and so far in 2018 they're ranked 25th. That shows a lack of discipline, and that shows a lack of execution for Mike Smith's scheme. That's coaching. That's coaching. That's all coaching. Like, oh my gosh. Thank you by the way for the I don't know what you call it. What are those things? The super chat? Yeah, thank you for the super chat, Skull Tag Films. Fire Mike Smith indeed. This all, some things you can't teach, and tackling gets learned at a young age. Coverage has a lot to do with talent. I completely understand that. But you can teach tackling. You can totally teach tackling. Mike Smith isn't teaching these young guys. We have a young secondary: Carlton Davis, MJ Stewart, Jordan Whitehead, Justin Evans, Quan Alexander. He's still relatively young. You can still teach him how to tackle. Mike Smith isn't teaching these guys anything at this point. He's certainly not teaching them how to defend the pass. Oh, so it's just a mess. All in all, we are 2-2. We don't... What? Who said we don't have the talent? Indubitably. Indubitably. That's an awesome name. I think we have the talent. Look at Gerald McCoy. He's a multiple-time Pro Bowler. Quan Alexander, Pro Bowler. Levante David, I think we can all agree, is one of the better 4-3 linebackers in the league. People have said that. Bucs fans have said that before. Jason Pierre-Paul, former Pro Bowler, former Super Bowl champion. Vinny Curry, former Super Bowl champion. Brent Grimes, multiple-time Pro Bowler. One of the better coverage cornerbacks in the league these past couple of years. And Justin Evans is a rookie that a lot of people were high on last year, and a lot of people were high on this year. So I think we have the talent, all things considered. I just think that Mike Smith doesn't know what to do with this talent, and it's very aggravating. It's very annoying, and he just doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do. What's an earliest an NFL team has fired their head coach? See, that's the worst part. I don't think it's Dirk Cutter's fault, because Dirk Cutter, he's trying. He's trying. He gave up play calling. He saw that it was a problem, and he gave it up. He gave it to Todd Monken, and that's actually been going well, all things considered. It didn't go well against the Chicago Bears, but still, it went well in the first 3 games versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, versus the Philadelphia Eagles, and versus the New Orleans Saints. Dirk Cutter gave up what he was doing. He realized that he was wrong, and he delegated one of his bigger roles to another guy, and that was working. Dirk Cutter's trying. Mike Smith isn't trying, dude. I don't think this is Dirk Cutter's fault entirely. Obviously, that's his friend. That's absolutely his friend and whatnot. I understand that. They go all the way back to Jacksonville and whatnot, but Mike Smith's responsible, and I'm just Dirk Cutter, he needs to fire him. I mean, ultimately it's going to fall down to the owners anyway, so the owners need to fire Mike Smith, and Jason Light needs to suggest that they need to fire Mike Smith, because Jason Light has a lot of input. He was one of the reasons that Dirk Cutter kept his job last year. He was one of the reasons that Lovie Smith got fired and Dirk Cutter got promoted. Jason Light has a lot of has a say as well. So I think that Jason Light and the ownership needs to come to a decision to get rid of Mike Smith. We have roughly about a week and a half until the next game. It could still happen. I know Dirk Cutter publicly came out and said it wasn't going to happen, but stuff like that's happened before. It is what it is. So it does. I think it does absolutely need to happen. Why did Monken not call the plays last game? I thought he did. I thought Todd Monken did call the plays last game. Where was it reported that he didn't? I don't know. This team it doesn't gel under Mike Smith's scheme. Eventually, what I think is going to happen if Mike Smith stays is that this team's going to lose faith very quickly in Mike Smith's defensive scheme. I'm surprised. I think some of them have already started to check out already. Guys like, I think Brent Grimes has started to check out a little bit in terms of believing in Mike Smith's defense, and more power to him. I think that he should, because this isn't working. I think players are definitely going to start losing confidence in this Mike Smith's defense, and then obviously things just start going way downhill. So, you know, that is what it is. When was it announced? When was it announced that Dirk had the play sheet on the sideline? Did he? I thought that Todd Monken was calling the plays for all year so far. That's what I thought it was. I don't know. Mike Smith's defense is outrated, so we had a better deal with Greg Schiano. Once players lose interest, it's over for the coach. Yeah, that's what I'm scared of that's going to happen. I hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't, because it shouldn't. It shouldn't happen to this team. This team's too good right now to on paper, this team's too good on paper right now to let something like that happen. I think they should get rid of the coach, because I don't know if players respect Mike Smith. I think they respect Brenton Buckner, and I think they respect the positional coaches. I just don't think they respect the guy who's running the defense right now. So, you know what? It is what it is, man. It is what it is. He's always had the play sheet. I think Todd Monken's calling plays, guys. I don't think Dirk Cutter's calling plays on offense. I'm pretty sure it's still Todd Monken. But it's hard for the offense to do anything when the defense is letting up 36 points a game, 37 points a game. You know, that's the average right now. 139 points in 4 games. 139 points in 4 games. That's insane. That's 36, 37 points a game. I had it wrong last time. I think I said it was like 26, 27, but no, it's 36, 37, something along those lines. Or 34. I can't remember. I don't know. I'm terrible at math. Anyway, would you prefer a defense coordinator on the sideline with the players or one that's in the booth? I would prefer one on the sideline. I want somebody who's there who can get in the ear of the guys and tell them what they're doing wrong. That's what I would prefer, personally. But it is what it is. It's just so bad. It's just so bad right now. I'll be the first to donate GoFundMe account to pay for a billboard in Tampa Bay that says defense, fix it now. Thank you, Marlon. I appreciate the super chat. That means a lot. 35 points allowed per game. It's ridiculous, man. You can't win games like that. You can't do it. We gave up 40 points against the New Orleans Saints. We gave up 30 points versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. We gave up 21 points versus the Philadelphia Eagles, which that isn't bad. And we gave up 48 points versus the Chicago Bears. Now that sucks. That's awful. Honestly, Mike Smith needs to be down on the sidelines. He needs to be in the ear of the guys so he can actually say what the heck's going on. He's up in the booth and he's we've seen on that Hard Knocks and whatnot, like, Mike Smith gets mad up in the booth. That doesn't mean anything. Your players aren't going to look up in the booth and look at you. They're down there trying to figure out what the heck's going on with your defensive scheme. They're basically trying to figure out for themselves, because the positional coaches have to talk up to a guy up in a booth who's just grumbling in a booth the entire time because his defense isn't doing good. Mike Smith needs to get down on the sidelines big time, man. MS must have a scheme. Mike Smith must have a scheme that only Conti understands. Maybe he does. Thank you for the super chat, by the way, Adeus. It's just ridiculous. Isaiah Johnson KOing himself. It's just awful, man. Mike Smith we need to have a guy who's down and on the sidelines and is in the ear of the guys. That's how you learn. That's how you learn, is when you have a guy right in your face, looking in the eye, telling you what to do. And Mike Smith hasn't been doing that, and I don't really know if he's ever done that since he's got here in 2016. It's not working, man. It's not working. What are your guys? So here's my question to you guys: if the Buccaneers did get rid of Mike Smith and they just got rid of him like tomorrow, who would you guys want to replace him right away? Who would be the first guy that you would want to replace him? Brenton Buckner? I want to look up our linebackers coach name fully, because I know it's Duffner, but I can't remember his oh my gosh, I can't remember his first name. I think it's Duffner, but I'm not sure. Mark Duffner. Buckner, a lot of Buckner. Monty Kiffin never sat in a booth. Dude, I love Monty Kiffin. I wish Monty Kiffin would come back. I've seen a lot of Buckners. Makes me wonder where this team would be if we still had Lovie Smith. I don't know. I could not tell you. He's not doing good in Illinois, I'll tell you that much. Rex Ryan, that'd be kind of interesting. A lot of Buckner, a lot of Duffner. John Gruden, no, he's evil. I know it honestly wouldn't matter, because they'd still be running a Mike Smith scheme and whatnot. I completely understand that, but I think it would at least help in the confidence, because Mike Smith hasn't been able to do much for this team for the past 2 years. I think it would at least do something in terms of morale. They tried to get rid of Jay Hayes. That was the one coaching change they made, was got rid of Jay Hayes. And it didn't work. I mean, well, it kind of worked. You know, they went from being worst to ranked 26th in terms of overall sacks. But, you know, it was more than just the defensive line. It was everything. And it's been a problem. We couldn't stop the run. We couldn't stop the pass. I know a lot of that has to do with the defensive line, but the defensive line was 10th in sacks in 2016, and we were still below average in rushing yards and passing yards per game, and we were just average at points per game in 2016 when our defensive line was supposedly good. So, you know, it's just not good. I don't think the defensive line matters for Mike Smith's scheme, because they've been good in takeaways. They've been average or top 10 of the league in takeaways, and it hasn't mattered. It just hasn't mattered. They're still below average in points per game. You know? It's just awful. The petition's up to 998. That's hilarious, Isaac. It's actually hilarious. So, you know, it doesn't matter. The Buccaneers can get sacks. They'll still be one of the worst defenses in terms of points per game and yards per game. They can get all the takeaways they want. They'll still be one of the worst in the league in points per game and yards per game. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just awful, man. It's just awful. Maybe Mark Duffner could come in. Maybe Brenston Buckner could come in. I know they would still run a Mike Smith type defense, but at least hopefully they'd still be down on the sideline. At least they'd be there, you know. Maybe they could say something to the players and say, hey, you know, for this scheme, maybe do this. No, I don't mind, Isaac. You can link it. Stats don't matter at this point. Something's got to change. I completely agree. Something does have to change. I completely agree with that, James. From one James to another, I gotcha. And that's what I mean. Statistically speaking, something has to change. Something has to change. Not just for this team in terms of overall numbers, but for this team in terms of overall morale. Because if the Bucs keep on having to deal with these high point games where they're giving up 21 or more points, or 30 or more points, or 40 or more points in a game, that's going to affect the defense confidence, and that's going to affect their belief in their defensive coordinator. Honestly, like, would you guys agree with that? I think that's a pretty reasonable statement. What are your thoughts on Rojo and our run game? Not trying to get off topic. Oh no, it's okay, Keith. I understand. I think Rojo actually looked good in the time that he was given in the game versus the Bears, but you know, he wasn't able to get a lot of time because the Buccaneers were playing from behind because our defense is terrible. I'm happy that Rojo's active now, and I think he actually could offer something to this running game. I think he could. Hopefully the running game picks up for sure, because right now they're not doing so good. Sacks are overrated, SMH. I know maybe sacks are overrated. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But, you know, Jay just pointed out they're all press corners aside from Brent Grimes, and Mike Smith doesn't play press a whole lot. You know, he's been trying to play more press this year, but he just doesn't know what to do with the guys, you know. I think that Jason Light drafts players who are good players, and then Mike Smith just doesn't know what to do with them, and he'll sign players that are good players, and Mike Smith just doesn't know what to do with them. It's just been a mess. It's just been a mess. It's just been awful, guys. It's been a mess. I don't know. Greg Schiano, lol. Yeah, this defense hasn't even been average since Mike Smith has got here. I can't say that enough. I really can't say that enough. That's why the Buccaneers should fire Mike Smith. This defense has never been better than average. Or below average. They've never been better than below average. Never. Never. And right now, they're almost the worst in the league yet again. That's why the Buccaneers should fire Mike Smith. Seriously. Seriously. I know they gave him an extension last year, and we were all kind of like, oh, maybe, you know, maybe we do it, but it's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think the Bucs are going to have a bad season, but I really hope that something gets, you know, something gets put together here. That's why I think the Buccaneers should make some type of personnel move, make some type of change, because if things stay the same, I don't know if I trust Mike Smith to run a competent defense for the rest of the year. He hasn't shown anything these first 4 weeks besides one game in Philadelphia. you know, something needs to happen with this defense. Maybe firing Mike Smith's the move. Maybe making a personnel move is the move. I don't know, but something's got to happen. We have a bye week, thankfully. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So it's a very encouraging thing to see. We're still 2-2 at the end of the day. That's nice. Both those games were complete shootouts that we won, except for the Philadelphia Eagles game. We won that one a little bit more confidently, but still, we won a shootout versus New Orleans. We lost a shootout versus the Steelers. We got absolutely demolished by the Chicago Bears, and we kind of handedly won against the Eagles, but they made it semi-interesting towards the end, and we were playing a backup quarterback. So, really, something's got to change here. We have a week and a half to figure out something, and we're 2-2. That's good. That's where a lot of people thought we were going to be. So, hopefully this bye week and whatnot, hopefully that is a clean slate. Hopefully we can come in to Atlanta, which they've been doing really good lately. Hopefully we can come into Atlanta with a clean slate, just start again, you know, just go. You know, go with Winston, go with this offense, go with this, whatever happens with the defense, you know, whatever happens, happens. But, you know, let's just go in there with a clean slate and just hope for the best. I'm going to go to sleep now. I just wanted to do this rant. Thank you for the 37 guys who are tuning in at 1:15 in the morning. That's 39 people. Thank you guys for the 39 people who are tuning in. And thank you guys for the super chats. Let me actually see if I can pinpoint them. Let me actually see here. Hold on. Who gave the super chats? I know. Does it not tell me who the super chats are? Let me see. Hold on. I'm gonna. We're all ranting. I know it's awful. Let me take a look at the super chats real quick. Thank you, Adis, Marlon White, and Skull Tag Films. Thank you guys for the super chats. That does mean a lot. Seriously, thank you. I know you guys are all are all here listening to me ramble, you know, and listening to me rant. And you know, it is what it is. But I had to get that off my chest. I'm going to go to sleep now because I'm tired. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. I'm going to be trying to live stream more this week since we are on a obvious bye week and whatnot. We have a lot more time to do stuff. I'm going to be live streaming more and uploading more videos. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, and until then, goodbye for now. We should probably fire Mike Smith. And go Bucks. Thank you.